Hello everyone, and welcome to the annual Q&A celebration. This is being held, well, it turns out to be annual because the last one was last year, and this one is going to be for the upcoming Learning Center course. Here we have two fine Learning Center instructors. We have Gianni here.
Hello.
And Chris on the green shirt.
Hi everyone.
That's right. And my name is Marcus. I'll be hosting this event. And just a few words. You might be watching us on Ustream right now. If you are, go to Kabbalah.info/live. You'll see the address down below there. So why am I saying that? Because if you're asking questions on Ustream, we won't be able to see them. We're not actually seeing that screen right now. But we do see the questions coming through the form on Kabbalah.info/live. So if you ask your questions there during the event, we'll be seeing them here, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. We've already received hundreds of questions. It's really great thing to see. So we're going to try to get as many to them. We're going to try to get to as many of them as possible, but obviously we won't be able to get to all of them because there's so many. With all your remaining questions, even if you got your question answered or not, we're sure that you'll always have more desires and wanting to learn more. So definitely, if you haven't already, sign up to the Learning Center course. We've got our first ever summer course starting next week at this exact same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, next Wednesday. And to sign up, just go, if you're on the Kabbalah.info/live page, just go down and click that banner that says Free Kabbalah Course, and then you'll be able to fill in your details there and get signed up to the course starting next week. So that's for the course. Some other things, we're also running this as a conversation on Twitter tonight. So you can also ask your questions on Twitter or talk about it with your friends on Twitter. Just go down to the Twitter area and click join the conversation. And we already have some friends there discussing this event and sending quotes from it and doing all sorts of things. So we'll also be in touch through Twitter. I'll be able to see you guys here. I've got this computer in front of me where we'll be in touch. We've got lots of your questions, and we'll already start heading into the first question. We're giving away some prizes tonight, so we'll already give away the first prize. We're giving away this copy of this book by Dr. Michael Leitman, A Guide to the Hidden Wisdom of Kabbalah, to Sarah Juan Gilvari, who opens us up tonight with one of the most fundamental questions here: what is Kabbalah? So guys, what is Kabbalah?
First of all, hello Sarah. Kabbalah is a study and a scientific method that analyzes or takes a look at the purpose of one's life. It takes a very, and that is the whole part of Kabbalah, is to expose us to what is our real goal, what is our purpose, why are we here, what was the purpose of creation. So therefore it is a study of that, but more importantly it is the attainment of this reality of what the Creator really is. By that I mean that we're going to be coming to an equivalence of form with the Creator. That means we're exactly the same in attributes to the Creator. Kabbalah itself, the word means to receive, and it's a little bit more. It's a very special way to receive.
Yeah, okay, great. Continuing this line of thought, Jose Guadalupe is asking, can any race study Kabbalah?
Yes, actually there's no, the calculation isn't made according to race, nor to sex or gender, any external aspects. The calculation is only made according to one's desire. When a person has a desire for spirituality, it's said that they have a point in the heart, meaning they've gone through all the possible desires for things of this world, and they have a desire now that they're not quite sure what it is, but it's a desire for something above this world. So if you have that desire, then you have the prerequisites for studying Kabbalah.
Okay. Roxanne Williams is asking, does one need to learn Hebrew to study Kabbalah?
Roxanne, good to meet you. No, one doesn't need to learn Hebrew in order to study Kabbalah. In fact, the book of Zohar is written in Aramaic. It is not a Hebrew language. It was a language that was predominant in an area called Mesopotamia. When we start learning and studying Kabbalah, a lot of these Hebrew words we're going to start picking up naturally. It's just sort of like going into a classroom and you're studying physics. You're going to pick up some mathematical language just so that you can convey a message easier. So the answer to that is no, you really do not need to study Hebrew.
Okay, before we go on, just a few words about this event. So we're not going to really get too deeply into each question because we do have so many, and we're going to try to get through as many as we can. So as I said, if you do have more questions or you want to spend more time studying these, we have a whole fundamentals course which is starting next week. Just click that free Kabbalah course banner down the page and you can sign up to that. And as we said, we'll try to get to all of them. And also one thing we're trying to recommend tonight, we also have free materials for anyone who invites their friends. There's a Tell Your Friends banner at the bottom of the page there. So if you want to invite your friends, we actually give you some free materials for each friend you invite. And even if you don't think you have anyone who'd be interested in it or can come now, you can still just put in some fake names and emails there and get the downloadable materials for free. So that's actually some Q&A materials between Dr. Michael Laitman, who's the main teacher here at the B'nai Baruch Kabbalah Education and Research Institute, together with all kinds of personalities such as Moby, Amit Goswami, and all kinds of personalities from different professional fields. So we're going to continue on here with a question by Jim, who's asking, is Kabbalah a mystical subset of Judaism?
That's a good question. No, actually, Judaism arose out of Kabbalah. At the time when Judaism arose, it was a time when everyone was already in what we call spiritual attainment, meaning all the concepts that are prevalent in Judaism as well as the other religions, these people had actually attained those things. So Judaism is necessarily an offshoot of the wisdom of Kabbalah.
All right. Miriam Javeli is asking, is Kabbalah a way of life? How would it help with global, family, and world conflict?
It's a good question. So we learn in Kabbalah that the whole world is within a person, and the whole world is a depiction of one's desires. We learn in Kabbalah that the substance of this desire is the will to receive for oneself alone. The goal of our studies and the method that we study, the method of Bala Sulam, which we'll be studying during this upcoming semester, is a method of inverting one's egoism from the will to receive solely for one's own benefit to the will to receive in order to benefit others, in order to benefit the Creator. When we invert this will to receive into a will to bestow, we see a completely different picture of reality, a different manifestation. Since all of these things, the death, destruction, earthquakes, all of these things are manifestations of our own corrupted desire. So we'll be working on that together during the semester. Great question.
Yeah, there's lots of great questions here. A lot of really initial scrutinies of Kabbalah, so we'd like to break through. One of the purposes of this event as well is to break through all these misconceptions surrounding Kabbalah, and it's great all your questions here because they really hit lots of different streams where many people who've come to Kabbalah have gone through these stages. And one of these people is Denise. Denise is asking, can you believe in Jesus and learn Kabbalah?
Denise, definitely. You can believe in Jesus and still study Kabbalah. The great Kabbalists have written to us that we could keep our own religion, we could keep our own traditions. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And by the way, I am Catholic and I still study Kabbalah.
Okay, continuing that same line of thought, Patrick Gillen is asking, I have always worshipped God as a Christian. As I continue to study Kabbalah, do I still worship God? And how do I fit Jesus in?
So this dovetails nicely with the last question. It's a legitimate question. It's a question we all have when we first start studying Kabbalah. Kabbalah is a methodology for the revelation of the purpose of creation, which Kabbalists tell us is the revelation of the Creator during our lifetimes. So if we reveal during our lifetimes all of these things that are supposedly only supposed to happen after we died. You know, heaven was a metaphor, for example, for the pleasures that are revealed in having this personal connection with the Creator. If we reveal this during our lifetimes, then what conflict is there with belief? There's no conflict because Kabbalah has nothing to do with belief. That's why Bala Sulam writes that in the end of correction, when everyone is correcting themselves and revealing the Creator for themselves during their lifetime, everyone will keep their religions, and there's no problem.
All right, so Kabbalah is not into belief, you're saying, but David here is asking whether Kabbalah believes in karma. Does Kabbalah believe in karma? Does a serial killer or a person such as Hitler receive huge negative karma for their evil deeds?
Kabbalah maintains, first of all, once again, that all of these things that we perceived as happening in our times or happening historically is all an impression within the person, within the will to receive for oneself alone. So when we change this will to receive into a will to bestow, we start perceiving things much differently. That's one thing. Now the second thing is do we believe in karma? I think karma denotes certain phenomenon that Kabbalah doesn't necessarily have anything to say about. There are certain laws of cause and effect in our world that definitely will probably prove to be scientifically true because it just belongs to a part of reality that's currently concealed from us. You know, for instance, 300 years ago, we didn't know what electricity was, but it was still a phenomenon that we learned to harness, learn how to apply it, and it was always there, only now we're aware of it. And this is just one of the many phenomena that happen to be hidden in our world that probably pretty soon will reveal as not to being any kind of a mystical thing or anything like that.
All right. Well, we're going to go into this next question as another giveaway. This question was by a person called Rude Spa, who asked, and we're going to give away this book to Rude. Sorry if I get some of the names mispronounced here. This book is called Together Forever.
Lovely book.
Yeah. Gianni is going to say a few words about it.
Well, this is one of my favorite books. It's actually a children's book. But the reason why I like it, and I'm sure someone will have the question, what is the reason for the plan of creation? It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. It's a story about a sorcerer who didn't want to be alone. And this is what we learned was the plan of creation, is that without a creature, there is no creator. You know, it's in the name. The creator, we learn, is simply this law of nature that is a relentless desire to bestow. And bestow to whom? Well, there has to be a vessel in which to put all this bestowal and all this goodness. So that's basically what this book is about, is the plan of creation, that the Creator wanted to bestow to the creatures. The plan was to delight the creatures.
Okay, and before we head into an ad break, let's answer Rude's question here. He's asking, after having read a lot of books by Dr. Michael Laitman, I still struggle with one question. Why did the Creator want to create the creation? If everything was perfect, then why did he have the thought of creation?
So, the Creator, it's said, the Kabbalists say, I created the evil inclination, I created the Torah as the spice, meaning the Creator created a situation in which the creature is so far from the Creator, that he can't feel him at all. We can't feel the Creator's goodness, and that's the darkness that we feel is this world. So the Creator created this situation so that we would have the free choice to be able to attain the Creator and to attain all his goodness on our own, of our own free will. Because if he just gave it to us, then we wouldn't really appreciate it. So the whole plan of creation and what we study is how to attain gradually these lights of the Creator.
It's a true act of love.
Exactly.
All right, so now we're going to head into an ad break. Stay with us. It'll be a couple of minutes where it's not just any ad break, it's an ad break for the Learning Center. One of our senior instructors here at the B'nai Baruch Learning Center, Tony Kozinec, is introducing what this upcoming course will be. So let's listen to a bit of this content of the upcoming course from Tony, and then we'll head back into more questions here.
What is the B'nai Baruch Learning Center? It's an interactive course on Kabbalah, and it's free. It's presented as a live streaming video broadcast, kind of like this, but not recorded, live. And there's a Q&A interface so that we can communicate directly and you can get your questions answered as they come up. These are 12 step-by-step lessons that reveal Kabbalah's intended purpose and use. And it's an experience that'll change the way that you perceive your reality. In the course, you'll get a firm basis of authentic Kabbalah method and a deeper understanding of nature, the world, and who you really are. This method is a practical tool that you can use to manage everything in life because you'll be learning the real rules of the game. But most importantly, a person can receive a unique illumination in the study of authentic Kabbalistic texts. And this is one that reveals life's true purpose, and it helps you realize it. So when you sign up, you get 12 lessons of graduated study made simple, starting with fundamental concepts and technical aspects of the inner nature of the force that shapes our lives. You'll learn how to connect with it and how to use it for your benefit and for the benefit of humanity. You'll discover what defines our perception of reality, what determines our feelings of pleasure or pain, and how it is possible to stop suffering. And you'll learn how to understand the language of the Kabbalists. In other words, what are the texts really talking about? And you'll learn how to study them. You'll find out what free will is and how to attain it. And when your schedule doesn't allow you to connect to the live lessons, you can download them later and you can watch them at your convenience. You get authentic texts, free and supporting books, and you get access to a virtual community of thousands of other students of Kabbalah. 20,000 people have already studied at the Learning Center over the last 2 years, and the number is growing all the time. If you sign up now, before the course starts, you'll get a self-study kit, so you can begin preparing right now. You can start today. So let's get started. Just fill in your details below and let the adventure begin. I'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, Tony. We're going to get back into it and give away another book. We're really in the mood here of giving. So this book here, it's called The Kabbalah Experience by Dr. Michael Laitman. If you like this format of asking questions and getting them answered, this book's perfect for you, because this whole book, it's actually called the definitive Q&A guide to the wisdom of Kabbalah. Rav Laitman, a few years back in the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken, held a forum, like his own personal forum, where new students would be asking lots of questions, and he answered these questions himself on the forum. So this book is actually a collection of that whole forum in a book form. So the whole book is just questions and answers, and a lot of these questions being asked tonight, you'll actually find them in chapter 7 of this book, if you look in this book. And another thing I wanted to tell you is, if you go to the bottom of this page, I'm assuming that you're on Kabbalah.info/live. So if you go to the bottom of this page, we actually have all the books that we're giving out tonight. We have them listed there, and they're all available for free, downloadable as free PDFs. So even if you don't get one of these tonight, like a physical copy in your hands, you can always download them for free as a PDF. They're also available for purchase there, the purchase links, so you can go check that out as well. And we're going to give this book to Daniel Galdo. Daniel asks the following question. Hi, I want to know whether Kabbalah has any connection with concepts of Hinduism.
Good question. No, Kabbalah doesn't have to do with any religion because, as we said, it's very simple. It's a methodology for revealing the Creator, revealing this upper reality during our lifetime. That's its only objective. There's nothing extraneous involved, there's no belief involved, and that's about it.
Okay, I'm just going to connect that. That's very similar to another question we just got by Lucretia, who asked, is there any relationship between Kabbalah, Hinduism, and Buddhism? And if so, what? So it's more or less the same answer. Would you want to expand on that, maybe?
Well, maybe
no,
we'll just
we'll leave it for now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Susan is asking, I'm just starting to get into learning more about Kabbalah. I do want to know the difference between it and religion. I have been told Kabbalah is not actually a religion, but I view it as it is. So being new to this, I'm wanting to know the difference and what is the best way to get started in the learning process.
Probably the biggest difference between a religion and Kabbalah is most religions are talking about when you die you attain something. And Kabbalah is not saying that at all. You are attaining this while you're alive in this world. And that's the way I take a look at it, as the biggest difference between religion and Kabbalah.
All right. Vicente is asking, will Kabbalah take you to the infinite world, and if so, how is life in the infinite world?
It's a good question, Vicente. The infinite world is called Ein Sof. This means the ultimate spiritual attainment. We go along degrees. There's 125 degrees of spiritual attainment. And we attain these things gradually according to the amount of pleasure that we can handle. Meaning, we have a will to receive. It's a will to receive pleasures of all kinds. It starts out being solely for ourselves. As we invert this into a will to receive in order to please the Creator, because that was His plan in creation, to please us, when we can have that intention, it's called that we attain a spiritual degree. And degree by degree, we attain all 125 spiritual degrees. And the last one of those, of course, is called Ein Sof, the infinite world.
All right. Maria del Carmen Bernal is asking, how can Kabbalah help me be a better person and understand the meaning of life?
Well, Kabbalah, what it does is through your studies, it's taking a look at this thing called egoism. And it looks deep into what egoism is, which is basically what we are, is a force called egoism. And little by little, we learn how to correct this egoism, which means that I'm not just taking everything in for my own good. I'm just not receiving everything. I'm gobbling everything up and saying, I don't care about anybody else. What this receiving is, in the spiritual world, we come to a sense that we are only going to receive in order to give. And that is what Kabbalah is talking about, is a thing called bestowal.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and there's another connection with the difference between Kabbalah and religion, is that according to Kabbalah, there's no such thing as sin. There's no such thing as bad people. Each and every person in this world is precious. They're special just the way they are. All we need to correct is that each of us is receiving only in order to benefit ourselves. We need to keep all our qualities, but we need to invert them into being in order to bestow, instead of simply in order to receive. And that's what the method of Kabbalah that we'll be studying this semester is all about. It's the method of Bala Sulam. It's a very special method, and he prepares us just like preparing a cake. There's specific ingredients that we employ, and we employ them together, and by following the directions, we get a nice, beautiful cake.
Very nice. And Fred Evans is asking whether that can be connected to meditation. What he's writing is, I'm such a beginner at Kabbalah that I have many questions. Probably uppermost in my mind is, can Kabbalah be an effective tool for meditation?
Well, actually, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, there's no such thing as meditation as we understand meditation in our world. Usually meditation is something that I do with my eyes closed, preferably on a mountaintop. I'm connecting with nature. I feel very peaceful. In Kabbalah, meditation means that throughout my daily life, I'm incorporating this intention called kavanah. It's an intention in order to please others, in order to please the Creator. As it's said, from love of friends to love of the Creator. And that's the goal of Kabbalah, and that's the only way in which Kabbalah might have some association with what we would call meditation. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, we see how people come from all kinds of spiritual angles, studying one thing and the other, and coming to Kabbalah. It's very natural. Most of the people studying in B'nai Baruch have come from all kinds of spiritual teachings and searches, and end up coming to Kabbalah. And here's another one that seems to be like this. Doris Coleman, who is asking, is it true that the wisdom of Kabbalah is a scientific tool for studying the spiritual world?
Good question. Kabbalah is a scientific tool for studying the spiritual world, and I'm essentially the subject of my experimentation, because I realize that all of my reality is within me. And the way in which I experiment is that I'm using these books, the study, we'll be studying together this semester in a certain fashion that changes a person from within. And then I perceive changes not only within myself, but in my surroundings, since my surroundings are just a projection of my internality. Great question.
We just noticed that more and more people are coming and joining us here, where we've got about 250 with us at the moment. There was about 200 in the beginning, so I'll just say a few of the things I said in the beginning. Gianni also just mentioned that this semester we'll be studying how Kabbalah is a scientific tool for studying the spiritual world. So if you haven't already, you're welcome to sign up to the upcoming Learning Center course, which is going to start at this exact time next Wednesday, 4th of August. And we have a banner on this page, on the Kabbalah.info/live page, just down below. So click on that banner. It's the free Kabbalah course banner, and you can fill in your details there, and that signs you up to the upcoming course. You'll be met with 2 instructors each week. We have a course, by the way, running at this time, and we also have another course parallel to it for students in a European time zone at 8 p.m. GMT. So we have a couple of courses running simultaneously there. And we're teaching all the fundamental concepts of Kabbalah. What we're doing tonight is more or less just breaking through some of the common misconceptions of Kabbalah, answering a lot of your questions. At the moment, most of the questions have been focused on what is Kabbalah, what is not Kabbalah. We're going to get into some of the deeper questions you've asked a little bit later in the show, and we will try to get through as many of them as we can. And another one similar to what you just answered, let's see if we can clarify what is Kabbalah a little bit more. Kata here is asking, how is Kabbalah science and not religion?
Well, religion requires that I believe something for an indeterminate amount of time. Kabbalah requires that I follow directions, and they're very simple directions that you can follow in tandem with everything that you do in your normal life. I simply go to work, live my life in the same way, only I followed the directions of the Kabbalists, just the way that I would go to the doctor and I would follow his directions. Let's say I have, a really bad disease. I have 2 options. I can go to the doctor and he can cure me, or I can learn myself. I can go to medical school. I can study study this disease until I learn how to cure it specifically myself. I'll die 30 times over. So what we consider Kabbalists to be is sort of like doctors of the soul. They developed this method together over thousands of years, and especially Bala Sulam adapted it specifically for our generations, for the types of souls like you and me that are born into this generation. And it's a way that quickly, according to one's desire, heals them and allows them to reveal this upper reality. It's a simple, quick path. It's the quickest way to go. It requires no belief. It just requires a little bit of effort.
All right, Kata, and to help you clarify your question even deeper, we're going to give you this book. It's Kabbalah Science and the Meaning of Life by Dr. Michael Laitman. The book actually was made from a period when Dr. Laitman met with a bunch of scientists from the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? And it was a 3-day conference where Dr. Laitman actually taught the wisdom of Kabbalah to these scientists. So, Dr. Laitman also has a scientific degree himself in biocybernetics. So what this book is a result of is him explaining all the basic concepts and fundamental principles of Kabbalah to scientists. So, and really, this made the explanation a lot more scientific. So we hope this will help you out with finding out how Kabbalah is a science and how it's a science of discovering the meaning of life. And congratulations for that as well. And we're going to lead in now to another clip. This clip is a clip of some past students of the Learning Center saying what they thought about it.
I've found something that gives me answers to all my questions, and good answers that I can criticize them, I can develop. It's all there.
It's indescribable because I've never had this camaraderie before with other people.
It's a wonderful class.
I didn't have to pay for it. It's all free.
I can't put it into words. I just can't put it into words.
Came in really trying to find, okay, what are they really trying to sell here? I was so skeptical, and immediately in the first lesson there was this warmth, there was this clarity in the instructors, and I just knew that there was some authentic wisdom.
I felt great. I felt at home. That was the most important thing. I felt at home, and I had
a lot of confidence in the teachers and the instructors. They made the material as understandable as you could possibly make it.
I just wanted to know why, what's going on with the, whole world.
I felt that I was getting the real answer for all my questions.
It's made life richer and bigger.
I live in Japan. I know about kind of Eastern philosophy. I'm actually surrounded by Shintoism and Buddhism and all these ideas. I see how it affects the society. And I've come from my background, but this is so outside of anything I've ever imagined before.
I'd say challenging and inspiring and encompassing, really.
I connected with people online before in forums and chat rooms, people I didn't know all across the world, but this had a different meaning to it.
It's actually quite amazing, and I'm so happy that I found out about this.
A life-changing experience, God would do.
Hello, welcome back. We saw that there's even more viewers coming to us now. You're probably sharing this around with your friends, so I'll introduce what we're doing here again. This is a Q&A celebration. It's a celebration for the upcoming Learning Center course, which is starting next week. The Learning Center course is actually the beginning of 3 courses, which are all free and which are viewable online, live. It starts at this very time next week, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, so you're welcome to check that out. You're welcome to sign up to it. There's a banner on this page at Kabbalah.info/live. Just go down and click the banner and you're able to sign up to that course, where you'll be able to continue asking your questions at every lesson. Each lesson is an interactive lesson with B'nai Baruch instructors that you'll be able to communicate with. There's also a student forum at the course, so even if you don't get your questions answered during the lessons, you're able to take them to the forum. And the instructors are also there at the forum, willing to give their answers to the questions and direct you to materials that might help. Here at B'nai Baruch, we provide all the materials we have for free online. So we're giving away lots of books tonight to people who are here. And just like to tell you all that you can also get all these books just by going to the bottom of the page. Everything we're giving away tonight is at the bottom of the page. And you can download the books as in PDF format if you don't win them. But we have another lucky winner now of this book. This is another book by Dr. Michael Laitman. It's called Point in the Heart. It's a very short book of short quotes that really a person can take this book with them during the day and open it up at any point and get an absorption of wisdom. That's the purpose of this book. It's not a book which should be read from cover to cover, but something like a book you can take with you and just absorb, get good thoughts, and change your attitude to life in that moment during the day, whether you're on the train, at work, wherever you are. I'll just read a quote out of here. Let's just take a quote at random to see what we have here. Here's one that's called The Light That Will Never Go Out. When we reach the middle of our lives, we start to dwindle, to gradually die out. But it is not our body that is dying. It is our desire fading and losing its strength to push forward. However, if we begin to develop spiritually, we receive vigor and desire to advance like children, always wanting, constantly revitalizing. So, yeah, we hope that you enjoy the beginnings of a spiritual path here in Kabbalah, or enjoy at least getting some answers to your questions about Kabbalah. And that book goes out to Angela. We'll send you this book. Angela asked this question. Is Kabbalah specific in helping us get close to the Creator, or can it help us deal with our personal life and relationships as men and women as well?
Well, the whole purpose of Kabbalah is to come close to the Creator, to reveal the Creator. We're in what we call the world of concealments, and the study of Kabbalah will take you through a process, what they call double concealment and single concealment, and then it comes to a process called revelation. And that is the whole purpose, and that is what it will take us to, is the attainment of the revelation of the Creator, and that is the whole purpose of Kabbalah.
Yeah, and your question, it's a great question about men and women and relationships. There's a very deep answer. The relationship between man and woman, there's a quote from the Kabbalists called man and woman and divinity in between. And even on a very simple level, which is how I want to answer it right now, when two people have a common goal, that ties them together. For instance, if it's to raise a child, even if it's something corporeal like to have success in a business, that can tie them together. Kabbalah gives us a goal that lasts forever. It's a goal that we're on fire for and that can never be put out because it's something that's way above this world. So when two people share that same goal, that's a very strong foundation for a relationship and one that can allow it to endure. Great question.
Great answer. Linda here is asking, why is Kabbalah different to other spiritual beliefs and studies, where everything unpleasant is the ego, evil, and everything that is good belongs to the light?
In Kabbalah, oftentimes the evil is called the ego, but in a sense, we could turn it around or switch it around, is the Creator created the ego, which is evil, but what that evil can do is to push us, to guide us into a certain direction to where we come upon that we have nowhere else to go. We don't understand all these things and why things are happening in the world, why there is all this so-called bad. And this ego chases us from one place to another, chasing things called pleasure. And finally, we find there's no pleasure in this world. And so therefore the ego is good in one way because it will chase you to wanting more than just pleasure in this world, and that will take you into the idea of spirituality.
So there's a Kabbalistic metaphor to answer this question about the evil and ego. And I'm drawing here a little picture here. There's a Kabbalistic metaphor that says a person can inherit like 500 acres of land. And he can be really sad because he looks at this land and he says, look at all this effort that I'm going to have to make. I'm going to have to cultivate it. It's going to take so much work. I don't want to do it. He's got a sad face. A Kabbalist, one who studies Kabbalah, has a different attitude. He's happy that he inherits all this land because he realizes that he has resources. He can hire people to work on it. He can work on it himself, but it's going to yield great profits. The metaphor is that in Kabbalah, the ego is actually equals spiritual capital. This is what we have to work with. When we have an ego, we have something that we can rise above. And by that, we attain the Creator. Without the evil, the so-called evil, which is just the ego, we have nothing to rise above and no possibility to attain the Creator. So it's only evil in its current form, and our job is to make it good, and that's the method that we study together.
Okay, so continuing Linda's question, she's here saying, okay, so you have this method, you have this knowledge, she calls it knowledge. So what do you do with the knowledge, and how can it make a difference to your life?
Chris?
Go ahead. No, okay. You're on a roll, Johnny. Keep going there, bud.
We have a method. It's called the method of Kabbalah, and it involves something called the light that reforms. By reading these books together that we study together, that we'll be studying in this upcoming semester, there's this action that happens upon us called the light that reforms, meaning this light that we draw during our study, when we study together, it reforms our ego. It does the work. The light actually makes the transformation. All we have to do is want it. How do we want it more? Well, we study together. We don't just study the books by ourselves, although that helps as well as far as the knowledge aspect goes. But by studying it together, we fan our desire for it. And by studying the books, we draw this light that reforms. And the light, called the surrounding light, it does all the work for us.
Okay. Again, let's put this discernment a little bit deeper. Murad here is asking, how is Kabbalah practical in everyday life? I'm supposing he means, like you go to work, you have a family, all this. So how is it practical in this context? How does one apply the knowledge to better his or her ordinary life?
Well, I take a look at it once again as this world is completely in concealment. It doesn't answer any questions for me. I'm always in search for, I want more. Is this all there is to the world? I've gone through all this process, and what it does is it starts you really taking a look at that there's more to this world than meets our eye, and we're in concealment. We do not have a perception of what true reality is, and Kabbalah is giving us a true picture of reality. It's the revelation of the Creator. And therefore, with this revelation, it makes us, it's contentment, it's wholeness, it's a satisfaction.
So what we learn in Kabbalah is that we do all those normal things that you're referring to, going to work, I have a wife or whatever. I live my normal life. But what I'm seeing around me right now is all according to the will to receive, according to the ego. When I invert this ego into a will to bestow, I reveal myself to be living in a spiritual world. So essentially, the intention that I'm able to put on everything that I do in my daily life through the wisdom of Kabbalah allows me to see a completely different depiction of reality. And it permeates my entire existence, even the mundane aspect of my existence.
It's hard to imagine if we had a society that was, the only intent was to bestow upon another person instead of taking from the other person and wanting to take from this person. It would be an incredible place to be.
Okay, Pamela here is asking, I have been studying Dr. Laitman's books since I saw What the Bleep and the subsequent symposiums. She saw all these conferences Dr. Laitman's been to, like with the World Wisdom Council and so on. As a result, I acquired the book Shamati. Why is this book so difficult to understand, and why is it that once you think you understand it, it's gone?
Well, two things. First of all, we learn that all there is in creation is the will to receive. And we have to correct ourselves, will to receive, to be an intention in order to bestow. When we correct this will to receive, we see the different reality that we've been talking about. These books are written in what's called vessels of bestowal, meaning there's different connections that can be felt in the world, extra layers of reality. And it's written from this perspective. So until we attain these spiritual degrees, it's impossible to understand these books, even to the extent that we think we can make the logical connections. That's one thing. But more importantly, we study Kabbalah as a remedy, not so much for understanding. If I'm going to take, for example, some medication, some of these medications have names that are like 50 letters long. Do I need to understand how the medication works? Okay, it's going to work on my brain, and then it's going to go into my lungs, and it's not necessary. And it's the same thing with Kabbalah. We study it just the same way we take medicine. We study it with our intention. We try to understand it as much as we can, but mostly we just try to feel it, and we try to draw what we said before, what's called the surrounding light. And this actually works on us. And when it works on us to a sufficient degree, meaning according to how much we want it to work on us, then we reveal that additional aspect of reality. And then we understand it with our own mind, without having anybody need to explain it to us. We come to a state called one soul teaches one.
All right. Another question here by Marek Palmalski, who is asking, Dear teachers, I heard that in the course of learning psychology, students may be subject to different incomprehensible change. I have read already Shamati in my mother tongue, Polish, and indeed my emotions, how to answer really, have changed. Besides, I began to feel some great incomprehensible presence behind it. Is this normal?
Yes, definitely it's normal. It's the surrounding light that is working on you right now. For us, it's kind of like incomprehensible, but it is that feeling of the surrounding light. It's not the feeling of the surrounding light. It's the Creator that is working on you right now. And the Creator is all loving and all good, so therefore this process will take place.
Yeah, we have to remember that this book, Shamati, is written by Bala Sulam, who is a Kabbalist writing from the greatest highest spiritual degree. And he comes down from that degree and puts something on the page that, that has to do with the spiritual world. So it's something incomprehensible. But the soul understands. And that's what you're feeling when you read it.
All right, we have to go into our next ad break, but before we do, I'm going to give away another book. This book is Kabbalah Revealed. This book, Kabbalah Revealed, it's called Kabbalah Revealed, The Ordinary Person's Guide to a More Peaceful Life. So really, my own personal impression of this book is that it's the best book for a beginner coming into Kabbalah who wants something structured to accompany them with a course or something that they're doing. Kabbalah Revealed is like a course in Kabbalah, a course of all the basic concepts and fundamental principles, with really easy to understand language and examples in there, lots of real life examples. It's as if Dr. Laitman's explaining this wisdom to a 3-year-old. And a lot of the time with Kabbalah, this is exactly what we need. It's a great read, short read as well, and definitely recommend it. We're giving this book to Victoria Gemot. So congratulations, Victoria. And again, everyone who doesn't win a book, you can always get them for free at the bottom of the page as PDF files. And why keep all this wisdom to yourself as well? You can invite your friends to this event. We have tools for doing so right next to the video screen on the bottom right-hand side. Also, if you email this to your friends, you'll see a banner on the page that says "Tell your friends." So if you email this to your friends, you'll also be able to download some more materials, some interviews between Dr. Michael Laitman and all kinds of personalities that talk to him in relation to all kinds of professional fields that they're in. You know, one about music, another one about technology, another one about business and all sorts of things, and seeing how does a Kabbalist relate to all these different fields and dress into them. So they're very interesting interviews, and as I said before, if you don't think any of your friends would be into this, so just leave some fake names and emails and you'll be able to download those things as well. And remind once again that this event is as a preparation for the upcoming course, the Learning Center course starting next week, Wednesday the 4th of August at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the exact same time as this event, but next Wednesday. That's the course for the Americas. There's also a European course running parallel to that at 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So you're welcome to come to this course. The whole course is completely free, just like all the materials we provide here at B'nai Baruch. And you can sign up to that course just by clicking it on the banner lower than this video screen you're watching now on the page, Kabbalah.info/live. So just click on that. You can sign up to it during this ad break we're about to do. And in this ad break, we have more of our friends, more of the students who have been through the Learning Center, talking about their impressions from it. So, guys, if we go into the clip.
I was doing lots of research. I was going to be the guy that knew everything.
There was something inside of me that was pushing me to
searching
for something that I didn't know what was it.
This inner feeling of I need to find answers, I need to
find out about something outside of this world. I suppose that's the best way I can really describe it.
You know, why am I here? What is this about?
What's the meaning of life?
What is the purpose in life?
The meaning of my life.
I had that question my entire life since I was a child.
Every single type of philosophy or wisdom or religion, whatever it was, I was searching for a certain density of feeling and emotion that would make me feel something. And Kabbalah was like
so geniusly, with such a beauty which I never
imagined that this even existed, that there was something out there that could do this for me.
It was literally breathtaking.
I immediately felt that this was the real thing.
I felt a drawing through my heart.
It was like I have found myself.
It was like this was it. This is the best thing ever. Like, this is why everyone is alive.
Like all of those combined together, but like exponentially.
I was feeling a great connection.
The instructors really exuded this confidence.
It's so easy, so logic. Unbelievable, you know.
That's my experience.
A very scientific, logical approach to describing basically the universe.
They were very friendly, and the lessons were interactive, and we could ask questions.
Like you could tell, like these people are doing something that's real. They're giving it their all. They're putting that into their work, and they're putting that into the lessons, and you feel it.
Without pretense. They're regular people who aren't doing this for money, fame, recognition.
I can't say in words. They were incredible.
This isn't a knowledge that's about intellectual knowledge. It's more about a knowledge which we sense and we feel within us.
It developed with me internally. I felt the changes.
It actually comes to you by way of some sort of personal attainment.
I think I would call it a sense of purpose.
It's something that I take with me all the time. It's something that I carry with me all day, really. It's something that I come back to.
You feel that there's something that's greater than you are. There's something beyond just yourself.
It's something you cannot explain.
It's something different. It's hard to describe.
It's very difficult to explain it, to put it into words, because you have to feel it.
It was like just how can I say it?
Yourself. You find yourself.
Okay, guys, if you just got here, we're doing this Q&A celebration. It's all kinds of questions people have on the wisdom of Kabbalah and how it relates to their lives, either personally, on a social level, or on a global level. We've gone into lots of questions. We have heaps more questions. We've got hundreds here. So we're going to do our best to get to as many of them as possible. We're also giving away lots of prizes tonight, lots of books. Now we're going to give away this book, From Chaos to Harmony. It's a book by Dr. Michael Laitman, and the subtitle of it is The Solution to the Global Crisis According to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. This book came from a period when Dr. Laitman met with Professor Irvin Laszlo, and he also met with a lot of forums that discussed global problems and how to solve them. Forums such as the World Wisdom Council, all kinds of meetings in Arosa and Tokyo. And basically for these meetings, Dr. Laitman put across a solution to the global crisis, not mentioning Kabbalah, but speaking the language of these people, basically putting the concepts of Kabbalah into a language which explains how, by changing the environment around a person, changing the society, changing the media that society consumes, meaning changing the values in it and making those values altruistic. So by making people value altruism more, so society can improve in such a way. That's just one of the many basic principles of this period that Dr. Laitman taught, and it's all of that's in this book, and it's very much recommended. Anyone who has this impulse for social change or activism, you know, how to make the world better, this kind of impulse will definitely like this book. And if you're not winning it right now, the person I'm about to read, so you can download it for free at the bottom of this page. It's in PDF form. So definitely, and you can also buy it. It's fairly cheap. I think, less than $10. It's all at the bottom of the page, but let's see who will win it now. We're going to give this book out to Maria Sanchez. So Maria Sanchez, congratulations. And we're also going to ask you a question now and continue on with the Q&A celebration. And Maria Sanchez asks, why is there so much suffering in the world? Why do some people have too much food and they end up dumping it, and others do not even have a piece of bread in a week? This is just to mention one of life's injustices. Is this the Creator's will?
Sure, everything comes from the Creator, but what we sense in this world is only a perception of how we want to feel. In other words, if we are given a sensation, oh, this is good, then we feel great about it. If we are sensing that we do not get something that we want, it's the sense of pain. And what has happened right now is that we're in such a disparity of form with the Creator, and our connections are so far off with society and everything else. We're a broken system, and within this broken system, all this sensation of bad or injustice, or whether it be any type of event. We have so many divorces, we have all these types of educational problems. It's simply because there is a lack of connection right now, a disparity of form.
Yeah, really the law of the universe is abundance. There's no shortages, there's no famine, there's really no problems, even the problems with the weather. It's all within man. It's all within the human being's will to receive. When we correct this will to receive, we'll see a much better world. And that's why Kabbalah is being revealed right now.
Yeah, as we said before, you might be just new to us now. We see that we're getting more and more viewers all the time. Now we're up to about 380 viewers. So we're answering all the questions tonight very shortly because we have so many questions. We've got hundreds of questions here. So we're just giving short answers to try to get through as many of them as possible, and always bringing you to the Learning Center. The Learning Center course, which starts next week, where you can continue asking all these questions. Also, by signing up to the Learning Center, you not only get access to the live lessons for free and also self-study materials and the ability to ask your questions and get them answered live by the instructors, but you also get access to a student forum. So when you get to the student forum, you can ask your questions there, and there are instructors and trained moderators who are there to help you get answers to them, or at least link you to materials where you will be able to find answers through them. So we're going to continue now with the questions. We have Kimberly here asking a similar question. All of my adult life, I have seemed to be in a cycle of unhappiness, depression, and lack. I keep a positive perspective on life, but I seem to stay stuck in a rut as if I will never leave this cycle. How can Kabbalah end this cycle and put me in control of my happiness? What can I do?
Well, first of all, everything, as far as depression is concerned, depression is the #1 disease all throughout the world right now. It's huge, and the reason why we have so much depression is because we're not filling ourselves. We are lacking, we sense that we're lacking something because our ego is saying we want. And in order to change that, you're going to actually have to change your society to get into an environment that will change what you're sensing right now, an environment that is going to take you to the importance of what is the purpose of my life, instead of just saying I'm in a society that says, oh, you need a new car, you need a new house, you need this, and we have all those things and we gain all those things. We're in the time period where humankind is sitting like a king compared to everybody else in the past history, and yet we're unhappy with this. And we have all this money and all this pleasure, all this food, but it does not fulfill oneself. And in order to come about and change, we're going to have to change our society.
Yeah. Okay, similarly in the same line, Alex is asking, although I have found my life leading me to a spiritual pursuit and Kabbalah, many people around me have not, including my wife. I understand the concepts of how to lead my life, but still find that I am struggling to pay my bills, deal with negative thoughts, or hearing about the negative world around me. How do I continue my path and overcome this constant bombardment of material pressure on my mind? I constantly feel that if money were not an issue, I'd be able to pursue spirituality even more and have time to help improve the world around me.
Well, that's a good question, and it's complementary to the last question. We learn in Kabbalah that everything is directed towards one's spiritual advancement. The Creator wants you to bring you not just to corporeal pleasures in this world that will give you minor, mundane satisfaction, but He wants to bring you to infinite pleasure, infinite knowledge, the true spiritual reality. So we're given problems in our world, to overcome. We're given bills, sicknesses, all sorts of problems. And all of this is in order to create a place for spiritual work. When we rise above this reality and put all our effort into not only handling our day-to-day run-of-the-mill activities, but devote ourselves to spiritual work, then everything else sorts itself out. Because there's no necessity for the Creator to send you bad things. These are just the manifestation of lights, certain kinds of lights leveling out in our world. And there's no necessity for the badness if one is on the path of the purpose of creation, which is the correction of one's soul.
So actually we're being pushed lovingly into a certain direction. And it's hard for us to understand because of our perception of how we are and what we are and in what situation we are right now. But it's almost like a loving parent saying, now, Johnny, I don't want you to do this because it is going to cause some pain and so forth and so on. And so therefore, you are not going out tonight. You go to your room. And the parent is doing that only out of love, but the person that went to their room is feeling a sensation of pain.
Okay. Along that same line, you kind of explained now why a person feels suffering. So now let's move that forward with this question. Stephen, who's asking, if God only does good to me and the whole world as a whole, then what should I do when I feel empty, lacking, and in darkness? So now that you explained why and what is happening when a person's suffering, so what should he do in that state?
The best thing we can do, since the Creator's desire is for us to notice Him, is to try to establish this connection with the Creator. And we can only do this through the wisdom of Kabbalah. My teacher, Rav Lightman, he said that when he was really sick and all he wanted to do was lie in bed, his teacher, Rabash, would tell him, let's go study. And that's what they would do. So besides managing the problems in our world the way we need to take care of all of our responsibilities in this world, just like normal. We can't abandon any of those responsibilities. Once we take care of those, the best thing is to endeavor to correct our souls, because that's the only reason we receive blows. It doesn't give the Creator pleasure to send blows, because His whole, His nature is the will to bestow. Complete bestowal, complete love.
I was also looking on Google Trends the other day for how many people are searching for the terms, what is the meaning of life? Mm-hmm. And I found that in September 2008, when the financial crisis struck, there was this spike of people searching for those keywords, what is the meaning of life? So there's a direct relation here to suffering and asking that question, what is the meaning of life? Maybe could you just say a few words about that?
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, it happens on the individual level as well as the macrocosmic level. It happens all across humanity. What we learn in Kabbalah is that there's very simply two paths. There's the path of suffering and what's called the path of Torah, meaning the path of Kabbalah. If we go by the path of suffering, everything's pre-planned. You can go to a fortune-telling grandmother and she'll tell you, she can tell you everything if she's good. People do possess these abilities. And you can be like Oedipus, sailing around the world trying to avoid your fate, and it will still happen, because everything is preordained in the plan of creation. That's called the path of suffering. Meaning I'll go through my life, I'll go chasing this pleasure, that pleasure, never actually receiving fulfillment, and in the end I just die with nothing, basically. The other option is called the path of Torah, the path of Kabbalah, by which I rise above my so-called fate. I rise above what can be predicted for me into the realm of free will and spiritual attainment and the plan of creation. So Kabbalists tell us that our way is pretty simple. The option's pretty simple. It's either the path of suffering or the quick path.
All right. So now we're going to go into another ad break. We're going to show another video in a sec. And before we do, we're going to just give another word. Well, we're going to give this book away. This book's called Bail Yourself Out, How to Emerge Strong from the World Crisis. This book was written after that huge financial crisis happened. It's another book by Dr. Michael Laitman. Very short book, because what Dr. Laitman wanted from this book was that we'd be able to get it out to as many people as possible who've been affected by this crisis. And without mentioning the word Kabbalah, just give some basic principles of how to get along now that this crisis is hit, now that so many people are getting laid off. What should we do with this situation? So there's a lot of interesting points here, really, on how to live at a time of crisis, how to approach such a time of crisis, trying to compact that into as small book as possible. So for this book, what we're going to do is on Twitter. Our Twitter person says that not many people here are talking about us. So if you're on Twitter, if you have a Twitter username, here's your chance to write something. What are your impressions of the Q&A celebration? Write a few words about it. Just go to that Twitter feed at the bottom of the page there and click Join the Conversation. And then write your impressions of the Q&A celebration. And whoever tweets us in the next 2 minutes when we go into this video, so when we come out of it, we're going to say which one of you Twitter users wins this book. So we're going to go into the next video now and start tweeting away, and we'll come back soon.
Okay, that's it. I quit. I'm out of here. This is pointless.
Hey, hold on, let me help you with that.
How the hell did you do that?
I'm taking this online course.
On what?
Kabbalah.
What's that?
The purpose of your life, the laws of nature, and how they determine everything. It's like a method of how your perception and experience change when you become like these laws.
Sounds heavy.
Not really. It's just the difference between always wanting to take and wanting to give.
Giving?
Yeah, giving.
Never mind, it's okay. I'm good.
And how we don't have to keep suffering.
No, it's okay. It's okay, really. No, I'm cool. It's okay. Really. I'm good. How bad can it get?
Please give me the web address.